Imagine for a moment someone you love, a friend, a family member, leaves home for an ordinary day and simply vanishes, without a trace, without a logical explanation. The door closes, and the silence that follows is filled with questions that echo for years, decades, sometimes forever. What happened? Where did they go? And, most importantly, why were they never found? The human mind, in its incessant search for order and meaning, struggles with the inexplicable, trying to fill the gaps with theories, fears, and, at times, the purest fantasy. But what if the inexplicable is, in fact, a horror so deep and personal that reality itself refuses to accept it? An evil hidden behind an ordinary facade. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you're joining us. I'm your name, channel name, and today we're going to dive into one of the most disturbing and shocking cases in Russian criminal history. The story of Irina Gaidamachuk, the woman who became known as the Satan in a skirt. Prepare for a journey into the abyss of the unknown, where hope mingles with the deepest uncertainty, and where the pursuit of justice clashes with the coldness of a mystery that defies human logic and understanding, leaving a trail of unanswered questions that echo to this day, haunting the memory of her victims and the imagination of all who know this case, becoming one of Russia's most infamous cold cases, a true nightmare that refuses to be forgotten. In this video, we will explore a puzzle with missing pieces, a mystery that has cried out for answers for almost 2 decades, but which over decades has resisted all attempts to unravel it, revealing truths that are at times more bizarre and terrifying than fiction. And, at the end, I want your opinion. What do you think really motivated Irina Gaidamachuk to commit such heinous crimes against defenseless elderly people? Do you believe she acted alone? Or is there a darker, more complex explanation behind such atrocity? A secret that refuses to be revealed, and that continues to corrode the soul of a nation. With every detail we present, you will feel the anguish of uncertainty, the frustration of unanswered questions, and the persistence of hope. It is a story that reminds us of the fragility of life and the complexity of the human mind, where truth often hides in the shadows, and where the pursuit of justice can lead to unexpected and painful paths. Join us on this journey where reality surpasses fiction and the unknown invites us to reflect on human nature and its deepest mysteries, and on how a crime can haunt a family and a city for generations, leaving a legacy of doubts and speculations that refuse to fade and that continue to fuel popular imagination. But before we start, if you're fascinated by mysteries and real stories that grip you from beginning to end, that make you question reality and invite you to unravel enigmas, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Your participation is fundamental for more people to learn about and reflect on these enigmas, and for the search for truth to continue illuminating the darkest corners of history, ensuring that victims are not forgotten, and that justice one day can prevail even in the face of such a complex and seemingly insoluble mystery, and that the truth, however painful, finally comes to light. Over an 8-year period, between 2002 and 2010, Russia was terrorized by a series of brutal murders that left police baffled and the population in a state of panic. The victims, all elderly women, were attacked in their own homes, beaten to death with hammers or figurines, and in many cases the crime scenes were set on fire, as if the killer wanted to erase all traces of their presence. What made these crimes even more shocking was the killer's identity, a woman, Irina Gaidamachuk, who, due to her ordinary appearance and discreet behavior, managed to go unnoticed for so long, earning the macabre nickname Satan in a skirt. Her ability to blend into the crowd and approach her victims without raising suspicion is a testament to her coldness and calculating nature, and a grim reminder that evil can hide in the most ordinary guises behind a facade of normality. Her crimes, which spanned several cities in the Sverdlovsk region, left a trail of blood and terror, and a mystery that has lingered for decades, haunting the memory of her victims and the imagination of all who know this case, becoming one of Russia's most infamous cold cases, a true nightmare that refuses to be forgotten and continues to cry out for justice. Irina Gaidamachik, born in 1972, led an apparently normal life in Sarov, a small industrial town in the Urals. Married, with 2 daughters, she struggled with alcoholism and poverty, which led her to commit petty thefts to support her addiction and her family. However, behind this facade of fragility and despair lay a cold and calculating mind, capable of committing acts of extreme violence. Her crimes began in 2002, when she attacked her first victim, an elderly woman, in her own home. The modus operandi was always the same. She would approach victims under the pretext of offering help or selling a product, gain their trust, and once inside the house brutally attack them with a hammer or any blunt object she found, steal their belongings, and in many cases set the place on fire to erase traces of her presence. The brutality of the acts and the coldness with which she executed her crimes shocked the police and the public, who could not understand how a woman could be capable of such cruelty. Her crimes spread across several cities in the Sverdlovsk region, including Sarov, Krasnoturinsk, Nizhny Tagil, and Yekaterinburg, leaving a trail of blood and terror, and a mystery that has lingered for decades, haunting the memory of her victims and the imagination of all who know this case, becoming one of Russia's most infamous cold cases, a true nightmare that refuses to be forgotten and continues to cry out for justice. Police initially believed the crimes were the work of a man, due to the brutality of the attacks. The idea that a woman could be capable of such violence challenged conventional notions of gender and criminality, and hampered the investigation. However, as the crimes accumulated and the pattern repeated, investigators began to consider the possibility of a female serial killer, a rare occurrence in criminal history. The lack of a clear motive for the crimes, beyond the theft of small sums of money, made the case even more complex and intriguing. Irina Gaidamachik was finally arrested in 2010 after one of her victims, who survived the attack, managed to describe her to the police. She confessed to 17 murders, revealing a coldness and lack of remorse that shocked even the most experienced investigators. Her motivation, according to her, was money to support her alcohol addiction and her family, but many believe there was something deeper behind her actions, a latent psychopathy that drove her to commit such atrocities. She was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2012, but the legacy of her crimes and the mystery of her mind continue to haunt Russia to this day, with new analyses and discussions constantly emerging, and the hope that the truth may one day come to light. The case of Irina Gaidamachik has a profound impact for several reasons that make it one of the most disturbing in criminal history. The first and most obvious is the fact that she is a female serial killer, a rare phenomenon that challenges societal expectations about female criminality. The idea that a woman, who is generally seen as a caregiver and protector, could be capable of such violence and cruelty is shocking and intriguing, and forces us to question our own notions of gender and evil. Furthermore, Irina's psychopathic approach, where she gained the trust of her victims before brutally attacking them, demonstrates a chilling coldness and calculating nature. Her ability to blend into the crowd and approach her victims without raising suspicion is a testament to her skill in manipulation and deception, and a grim reminder that evil can hide in the most ordinary appearances, behind a facade of normality. The blend of extreme violence and surprise, with attacks committed in domestic settings and victims being elderly and defenseless, adds a layer of horror and vulnerability to the case, making it even more disturbing. Irina Gaidamachik's story is a grim reminder that evil can manifest in unexpected ways, and that the pursuit of justice can be a long and painful road, and that the truth at times is stranger and more terrifying than fiction. The case also raises important questions about Russian society and the conditions that can lead to the emergence of such brutal criminals. Poverty, alcoholism, and lack of opportunities are factors that have been pointed out as possible influences in Irina's life, but many believe there was something deeper behind her actions, a latent psychopathy that drove her to commit such atrocities. The way the police took so long to identify the killer, initially focusing on male suspects, is also a point of discussion, revealing prejudices and investigative failures. Irina Mattia's story has become a symbol of human fragility and evil's capacity to infiltrate the most ordinary lives, leaving a trail of pain and suffering that endures for generations. The case continues to be studied by criminologists and psychologists who seek to understand the motivations behind her crimes and the conditions that can lead to the emergence of serial killers, and the hope that the truth may one day come to light, bringing peace to the victims and their families and closing a dark chapter in Russian history. This is where it really gets scary. The question that echoes in the minds of all who know Irina Mattia's cases: how did someone like this go unnoticed for so long? The answer lies in her coldness and calculating nature, and in her ability to blend into the crowd and approach her victims without raising suspicion. Irina was not the stereotypical image of a serial killer. She was an ordinary woman with an apparently normal life, which made her even more dangerous. Her ability to manipulate and deceive to gain the trust of her victims before brutally attacking them demonstrates a latent psychopathy that drove her to commit such atrocities. She was a predator hiding in plain sight, a Satan in a skirt who terrorized defenseless elderly people and who managed to evade justice for almost a decade, leaving a trail of blood and terror wherever she went. The way she carried out her crimes, with a coldness and lack of remorse that shocked even the most experienced investigators, is a testament to her twisted mind and her ability to dehumanize her victims. Irina Mattia's case is a grim reminder that evil can manifest in unexpected ways, and that the pursuit of justice can be a long and painful road, and that the truth at times is stranger and more terrifying than fiction. Her ability to go unnoticed for so long also raises questions about the effectiveness of police investigation and the prejudices that may have hampered the identification of the killer. The idea that a woman could be capable of such violence challenged conventional notions of gender and criminality, and may have led investigators to focus on male suspects, losing precious time while Irina continued to terrorize the population. Irina Mattia's story is a case study on the complexity of the criminal mind and the importance of challenging prejudices in crime investigation. The case continues to be studied by criminologists and psychologists who seek to understand the motivations behind her crimes and the conditions that can lead to the emergence of serial killers, and the hope that the truth may one day come to light, bringing peace to the victims and their families and closing a dark chapter in Russian history. As of 2025, Irina Mattia's case continues to be a landmark in Russian criminal history, a grim reminder of the human capacity for wickedness and the fragility of life. Although she has been convicted and is serving her sentence, questions about her deeper motivations and the extent of her psychopathy still persist. Some experts believe that her alcoholism and poverty were merely catalysts for a latent psychopathy, while others suggest that she may have suffered from an undiagnosed mental disorder that compelled her to commit such atrocities. The lack of remorse and the coldness with which she confessed her crimes shocked everyone, and Irina Mattia's mind continues to be an enigma for psychologists and criminologists. The case remains a subject of study and discussion in true crime forums, podcasts, and documentaries, keeping alive the memory of her victims and the search for answers. Irina Mattia's story is a grim reminder that evil can hide in the most ordinary appearances, and that the pursuit of justice can be a long and painful road, and that the truth, at times, is stranger and more terrifying than fiction, and that human nature, in its complexity, can be as beautiful as it is terrifying. The hope is that, with the advancement of science and psychology, we may one day better understand the minds behind such heinous crimes, and that justice, one day, can prevail, bringing peace to the victims and their families, and closing a dark chapter in Russian history. And you? What do you think truly motivated Irina Gaidamachik to commit such heinous crimes? Do you believe she acted alone, or was there something darker behind her actions? What theories do you have about the mind of a female serial killer, and how she managed to go unnoticed for so long? Tell me in the comments, I'll read them all. Your perspective is very important to enrich this discussion and help us better understand these mysteries, and perhaps, together, we can shed new light on this enigma that has endured 4 decades, and that cries out for a resolution. If you're fascinated by true stories that grip you from start to finish, where mystery defies logic and reality surpasses fiction, where the pursuit of justice is tireless and truth hides in the shadows, then subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell. That way, you won't miss any of our upcoming videos, and you lines help us continue to bring you quality content. Your interaction is the fuel that drives us to continue exploring the darkest corners of the human mind and the enigmas that surround us, and to fight for a world where justice prevails even in the face of the most bizarre mysteries. In the next video, we'll talk about an even stranger disappearance, one that will leave you breathless and questioning everything you know about reality. I'll see you there.